So at this point, what do you think? What are families are getting wrong about going to college? What do you think is actually the issue on that behalf?
So I have noticed there's a few. The first thing is the mindset of the parents of this generation. So hear me out on this,
Sure,
parents.
sure.
What happened to that generation is the parents of that generation said, you will go to college. You will, I don't, it doesn't matter what you major in, you're going to get a college degree, even if we have to go into debt. What happened is those students didn't know what they wanted to do, so they just picked any random major. They graduated, couldn't find a career, and they took on debt. This group now is saying, we don't want that for our children. We don't want them going into college debt. But what they don't realize is if you do this with a plan and a strategy, you can do it without debt. How are you today?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Excellent. Great to meet you.
It's awesome to meet you. This has it's been different, I tell you. You're actually my first female guest on my podcast.
Seriously.
Yeah, I've been on a kick here lately, so I've been getting quite a few guests, and you've been the first female guest. So
Well, I
that's
am honored. Thank you so
yes,
much.
yes, I'm happy about this. I'm very excited about it. Very excited.
Is
Um,
there a reason why you haven't had a female guest before?
well, actually, I haven't I've been doing this podcast for about 4 years. So
Okay.
at that time, I really wasn't focused on guests, and I guess I didn't reach that height of getting female guests, and been mostly more of let's see, male perspective, so to speak.
Okay.
And when I seen that, you had email, I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity. So
Love it.
it was more of just in and out type of thing. I wasn't getting a lot of emails before
Okay.
then.
Okay, there you
So
go.
this year has been like emails everywhere. I've been
Good.
getting bombarded with emails. I tell you, overwhelming is a good thing in this process. So I can't
Love
even
it.
complain. I can't complain. It's awesome.
So good.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started here. Let's just kick this off with yourself. Talk about yourself a little bit, what you do, and you know how you came out to be where you are right now.
So, quick question. Who is
Mhm.
your listener? And what would be the most valuable thing I could talk to them about, in your opinion?
Well, this is a new perspective. I'll say that. So, not nothing like I could really think of off the top of my head. Just more of like, speaking from you and what you have learned from your process of different things. I think I may have some in and out questions here and there, like if you're speaking or whatever, but nothing like off the top of my head, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure that I give your listeners a lot of value. And so
Sure.
this is my, I think, 80th guest episode.
Ooh,
So I've been doing this a lot. And what I
yeah,
do know is I have a heart to help. And so wherever people are listening, I always want them to learn something new. So
absolutely.
your first question was you want me to tell a little bit about
About
myself?
yourself. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. So, my name is Shellie Howard, and I am the founder and CEO of College Ready. We help students prepare for college, get accepted, and graduate without debt. Our mission is to help 1 million families graduate from college completely debt free. And if they don't want to go to college, we want to help to make sure that they have a career that they will find joy in and that it will provide for the needs that they have. And so College Ready's been here for, this is our 18th application season. I'm a mom of four. I am married and living my best life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's real nice too. That's real nice. I can say that. Now, what got you to do college planning and stuff like that, helping families? And was there a moment that you ever thought that the system was broken when you was helping families with things like this?
Oh, I don't know if it's broken. I just think there's a lot of misunderstanding or
Sure,
misconceptions.
sure.
And so it all started honestly. I was the first to go to college on both sides of my family.
All
I
right.
didn't do it right. I applied to two schools, got into both. That was a pretty big blessing. And then I changed my major five times, and that was kind
Yeah.
of not a blessing. And then when I graduated, I had a job waiting for me, and I started 4 days later with corporate America and got a car and a paycheck. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. Great, great experience. But I did want it to be a little bit better for my own children. And
Hmm.
so I did a lot of, consideration when it was their turn on how I wanted to do it better.
Sure, sure. That's understandable. And what was your other like different majors before you actually got into this?
Oh gosh. So I didn't know if I wanted to go to college. And so when I finally decided, yes, I'm going, I just asked my dad, I'm like, what do you think I should major in? He goes, business finance. Understanding money will never let you down. And I'm like, all right, sounds great. So I went in business finance, sat in accounting 101, and literally had tears in my eyes because I could not understand what in the world he was talking about. And I was like, I definitely don't want to do this. And so from there, I started thinking, what is it that I want to do? And I really wanted to be a PE teacher. I thought that
Oh,
would be for middle school students. I thought, oh, that would be the best outdoors every day, running around, playing with these
yeah.
teenagers. Yeah, so good. I wanted to be a
Yeah.
softball coach. Like I had big dreams. And then I did my internship, my student teaching.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, none of those middle schoolers even wanted to walk around the track. They
Oh
didn't want
man.
to dress up in their PE attire. And they sure didn't want to hang out with me. So I'm like, whoa, big misconception there.
Yeah,
Then I
yeah, yeah.
decided, maybe I should do like teach third grade. I love kids. I went down that path and I'm like, nope, that does not pay enough. Then I decided I wanted to be a psychology major. I'm thinking, oh, brilliant. I love talking to people, learning how they work, understanding their thoughts. Then I went and did my clinical, and I was there, and a little sweet little boy, must have been 3 years old, sat
Mhm.
on my lap, and we were playing, having chatting, and I saw on his arm there were all of these black dots, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" He says, "Oh, I'm okay, but when I'm a bad boy, my mommy takes her cigarette and she burns me." And I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
"Where's your mom?" And and at that moment, I'm like, I'm probably going to get thrown in jail if I keep this career up. So I
I know.
decided
Yeah,
I
that's tough.
definitely could not do that. And then ultimately, I thought I wanted to be a defense attorney and defend people whom I didn't think would be guilty. And
Mm.
what I learned is that has its issues as well.
Sure.
And what I found out in all of it is I'm an entrepreneur. I want to
The
help
best thing ever.
people and I want to make a difference and I want to do it on my my path. I don't want to be told what to do.
Okay, that's good. What has been your accomplishments since you became an entrepreneur?
Oh gosh. Well, I should probably start with my first two born, my first two children. My son is an orthopedic surgeon, and my daughter's a registered nurse, and so they spend their days helping other people, which I think is
Right.
such an incredible career for both of them. And then me personally, This year, I was just named 2026 Global Educational Consultant of the Year, and so that was a pretty big one for me. I was just named 100 Women to Know in the United States, and I was just on Damon John's new TV series called Next Level CEO, where he interviews me about how I became a CEO and what was that like. And so I've been featured on every news station, most newspapers. I have a heart to help people and to give a ton of free information. And so I think my biggest accolades are when my students call and say, "Hey, we just got into this school." And I'm like, when do I get to go? And they laugh. They think it's super funny. But really touching teenagers and giving them a better future is really the top accolade.
Firstly, congratulations. That
Thank
is
you.
big accomplishments. Congratulations to you. That's awesome. That is super awesome. So at this point, what do you think? What are families are getting wrong about going to college? What do you think is actually the issue on that behalf?
So I have noticed there's a few. The first thing is the mindset of the parents of this generation. So hear me out on this,
Sure,
parents.
sure.
What happened to that generation is the parents of that generation said, "You will go to college. You will, I don't, it doesn't matter what you major in, you're going to get a college degree, even if we have to go into debt." What happened is those students didn't know what they wanted to do, so they just picked any random major. They graduated, couldn't find a career, and they took on debt. This group now is saying, we don't want that for our children. We don't want them going into college debt. But what they don't realize is if you do this with a plan and a strategy, you can do it. My son went to Harvard 4 years for free, and I didn't pay a dime. My daughter went to University of Alabama for free. Son went to San Francisco State, and my stepdaughter went to AAU in the Czech Republic of Prague for 27,000 total. So over the last 18 years, our students have received over $80 million in scholarships.
Oh
There is
wow.
so much money available, and there's over 2,500 different colleges. The problem is, if we don't help our children understand financial literacy, they are going to be in the same situation of going to college because they were told to, but not picking a major that's going to provide for them. So that's my mission, is to help them get clarity about their core values, their gifts, their talents, what they advocate for, then match it to a career that they can make impact that pays the bills. That's what should be happening, and college is just a stepping stone to get what they want.
Why do you think students graduate college with debt? Why do you think that?
I think they're too young to understand how much the cost of college really means. For a student who's 17 or 18, when you say, "Oh, yeah, it's only $30,000 a year," they're thinking, "Okay, yeah, it's no big deal." They don't understand what $30,000 times 4 years is going to do to them financially. And
Mm,
so it's really a lack of educating the children, the teenagers who are making these big adult decisions about their financial future. So I believe it's just lack of education and mentorship and support to helping families understand that they don't need to go into debt to go to college.
that makes sense. That totally makes sense. How does that make you feel when you see that you know parents are not preparing a child for college or being able to prepare them easily? Like how does that make you feel like on the inside when you hear that different
I
stories like that?
believe for me, it should be done in school. I believe that that financial literacy should be started at home grown at school and then educated and um, completed as a family. I think leaving $30,000, and that's minimum. I mean, it can go up to $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Leaving that up to somebody who doesn't even know the cost of electricity to live on their own is terrifying to me. And that I think is unfair to put these children in a position that they have to make this adult decision without support. I can't say it's the school's responsibility, it's really the parents' responsibility.
Hmm.
And I always say, anybody can have a child, that doesn't make them a great parent. So
Right.
being a great parent means that you have to do the hard work, and sometimes that's teaching them that no, you can't have everything, or there is a price for each thing. And sometimes parents don't want to deal with that because we're busy.
That's interesting you brought that up. Do you think, like, in a sense, this like should that be split to where schools should teach students a little bit of something about finance and business, and then parents should be on the other side of it, teaching, their kids about the personal finance responsibilities? You think that should be split, or you think that just all should be on the parents?
Well, I believe it should be a village, to be honest with
I
you.
agree.
I,
Yes.
I
Yes.
believe that, the parent's responsibility is to raise up the child. That's their responsibility. Is part of that helping them to understand financial future? Of course. Does that also mean that aunts and uncles and grandparents and friends of family can also lean in if they're a banker, a CPA, a financial advisor, somebody in that world? Absolutely. I believe that it's the responsibility of adults to help the next generation be better. I don't really believe that it should be the responsibility of one person.
Absolutely. I agree.
I I believe that all of us, including teachers, right? But they have a whole room of students, not one to one like we do as parents. So it's a little bit harder to get personal when you're talking with a group of students, but that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be some sort of financial awareness.
Okay, that makes sense. I have to agree with you there. Now, I have a 5 year old. All right, I have a 5 year old girl, and one of the biggest things that I've always intend to do is try to set her up, like, financially. Even if she decides she wants to go to college when she, graduates from high school. What do you think parents should actually start doing, like, early in these stages? Like, especially for me, in this
Yeah.
stage.
So when my kids were her age, I remember thinking, it's really important for them to understand that if you do nothing, you get nothing. If you do things, you get things. And so it's a very simple way of helping them understand cause and effect. If you sit around all day on the computer or watching TV, and yet you want to have that cupcake, that cookie, that treat, but have nothing to earn it, well, maybe that's part of the parental responsibility of saying, hey, there's some, if you want to have that treat, do you either want to help make it, or do you want to do something else that would give me more time that I can make that for you? So it's
Yeah.
teaching them that it's a team effort, not that it's all their responsibility or all the parents' responsibility. But when you start at that age, it becomes a very normal part of upbringing. And then when they want the bike or the skateboard or the new soccer cleats or whatever, then it comes down to, did you help with the chores? Did you do the things that you are, you know, at an age that would be appropriate? And so I always told my kids, if you get new cleats, you better make sure there's no dirt on them. You need to respect them. You need to make sure that those are going to be cared for, or you're not getting any more of those. And so my kids still tease me to this day because they do the same thing now. And that's ironic in all of it, but it really has to start. These kids look to you as their role model, like it or not.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if you're always on your phone and not paying attention, guess what they want to do? They always
They're
want
gonna
to
do the
be on
same
your
thing.
phone.
Yep. Yep.
If you have a phone in a book and they only see you reading a book, guess what they want to do? Read a book.
Read a book. Absolutely.
So these are the things that I like to help younger parents understand is it's not that you're talking about college, you're preparing them for life. You're teaching them to learn to the love of reading, intellectual curiosity, being focused, understanding the importance of learning. I don't know. I think every adult should have that. I don't think it's just to go to college, but I definitely think it's a great place to start at home. And then, of course, the school will supplement that and really take the student to the next level.
And that's interesting that you said that because I talk about like a lot of my podcasts about how parenting actually leads to like kids' influences, right? And one of the things like it really starts off with, you could say, so to speak, like it really still start off with like the dads, so to speak, like leading and examples and stuff like that. And I also had mentioned that what the dad does, the kids are going to do, right? They're going to, like you said, they're on their phones, they're going to be on and stuff like that. So I've always been trying to be more influenced based off of that, like doing little things, color. Like it may not be that important, but it's more better than being on the phone, right? Or going and um, cooking something, like to keep their minds off, whatever else that they're doing. Anything that'll just lead to better exampling as that. So I gotta ask you this: what does actually being college ready really mean? Because we know that kids can graduate high school and they can say, "Oh, I'm going to college." And when I decided I wanted to go to college, I just wanted to do nothing, just general studies. I didn't have a major or anything. So, in that financial aspect, what does actually college ready means?
So, the first part of being college ready is having a plan for your future.
Mm,
If you want to do certain majors, you have to go to college. If there's other majors like entrepreneur, you don't have to.
sure.
So, the first thing is helping them really get a roadmap to what happens after high school. Is it college? Is it trade school? Is it a gap year? Am I going to travel? Like, there's got to be a plan. You just don't want to kick them out of your house and go, hey, you're an adult now, go figure it out.
I
That's where
agree.
people
Yes.
get themselves into trouble.
Yes.
So, by really leaning in and helping them say, what brings you joy? What are the things that you've been truly gifted? Those things I've seen you be a natural leader. I see how other students follow you. I see you're incredibly organized. I watch how you teach your siblings. You can verbalize and also help them understand a little bit better about who they are. And so as they're going through the teen years and they're practicing these skills, leading and following and teaching and receiving, they start to understand their role in the world. So when it does come to what's next, it's not somebody just pulled the carpet out from under me and I'm just got to figure it out. It's,
Yeah.
yes, I do. I have passed. I can go and get a job. I can go and get an education. I can go and, start a business. There's things that they can do, but if you don't help them to learn what's available to them, they're going to do the path of least resistance, which means
Yeah.
nothing.
Man.
So if you're not nagging, but you're saying, hey, come to work with me today. I would love your input on this, da 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 da. Or in your case, I'm a podcaster. You want to be my guest? Wow, how cool would that be to be on Dad's podcast, right? The audience would love that kind of thing. You would find out very quickly if your daughter is shy or if she's got a lot of personality. Put a microphone in front of her and you'll see what happens, right? Then you reinforce, you are amazing. Or was that scary for you? And then you can open up that line of communication that will be a very safe place for when they have to make harder decisions or do harder things.
That's deep. That I didn't think about that. That is, yeah, I never would have thought about that. That is a good idea.
That's
I
a
might
mom of
have.
four.
Yeah, see, I have to. Yeah, I got to harbor on that. I got to consider that. I
Yeah.
really do. I really do. So when we're talking about, being college ready and all of that, how early should parents actually, or families, so to speak, should start planning? How early we
Well,
talking?
if you're a family that enjoys intellectual learning, in other words, you go to art museums, you go to science museums, if that's you, add a college tour on there. Just check it out, right?
Sure.
No pressure, nothing.
Yeah.
Just like you would go to the library.
Yep.
If you're a family who, nah, that's not me, maybe you're a sports family, soccer, baseball, football, take them to a college game. How fun is that? You're all screaming and yelling and having a great time, and they're like, whoa, this is pretty awesome, right? Maybe you're into
Absolutely.
theater, maybe you're into music. Take them to a choir concert, take them to a theater production at a university. It's all about exposure. They don't know it exists until you show them it exists.
Absolutely. Like I know when I was a kid, I had my aunt always take me, my brother, and my older sister to like what they call them, symphonies every year for the holidays. And for me, that was just a therapeutic thing. It wasn't like, ooh, I should actually go ahead and be, participating in the symphony or something like that. It was just therapeutic and I enjoyed it though. So it was like it was something I enjoyed doing, like actually watching every year. I learned to appreciate it and I was like, ooh, this might be fun. Like if we go next year, and stuff like that. So that's a very good point. I like that. That's a very good point. So as a dad for me, like how much of a role should I play in preparing my child for, college if she wanted to go is better.
Right. So after exposure comes the opportunity to really lean into her gifts, her talents, and her core values.
Right.
So, what can you be doing as dad is one, I saw how you led those students. You're a natural leader. Or, you love your family. I think that's just who you are. You're putting words to an action that they don't even realize they're doing. So you're just kind of helping them to figure out who they are. So the next stage from that to be college ready is to make sure that they're academically doing their best. Not doing the minimum, but truly giving whatever it is they have, give it their all, and then challenge themselves. Don't just do the easiest thing and then check the box. So, from a dad's perspective, I was raised by a dad, so I can speak truly what it was like to be a daughter raised
Yes.
by a dad.
Yes.
And we would play games outside, and we played this one game where he loved handball, so it was a little ball,
Mhm.
and we would do my spelling together. So if I could spell a word properly, I could throw the ball and try to hit him as he ran across the garage. So he made it into a game, and I was learning my spelling words. So I got to
Ah,
spend time with dad. He made it fun, and I learned. And so it became a fun learning environment versus is your homework done? Right? Nobody wants to hear is your homework done?
yeah, I hear
They,
that too.
right? No, but I don't care what age you are. That's just, it's like, is your chores done? Is your bed made? Whatever. And so my dad would say, "Hey, you ready to do your spelling?" And I'm like, "Yeah, game on. Where's the ball?" Because it was a totally different mindset that I had put with my spelling words, or it would be math, or it would be history, whatever. He was really good at turning it into something that we could both enjoy, where it wasn't just me and him either giving me a high five or punishment. So I think that's a huge thing that dads can do, because dads tend to be more playful, tend to be more movement, and so are kids. I'm telling you, dads and kids, they can bond because they have a lot of similarities. And then from there, teaching them to love learning and the benefits of being educated. Because if they don't understand why they're having to study, they're not going to study.
Yeah, you're right.
How's
You're
this going
right.
to benefit me? If it doesn't, no thank you. Children are very self centered, very self centered. And that's just because they're learning. They don't know any better. So if you know they're self centered, the best thing you can do is to help them understand why they would benefit from being educated.
Yes, I agree. I think you pretty much answered my question anyway. It was the one I was going to ask you. Let's just elaborate on it then. Like, what do you think is the mistakes parents make when it comes to guiding your kids?
Oh gosh, talking at them instead of listening to them. I would
Yes.
say 9 out of 10 times when I'm on a call with a family and there is some disconnection, I'll ask this question. I'll say, "So, student, what is most important to your future? Being with students who are similar to you academically, socially, or financially?" And they'll answer, and the parent will say something else, and there'll be a complete disconnect. And I'm like, "Is this the first time that you're talking about this?" And they're like, "Yes, we've never talked about this." And I at that point I'm like, if you don't talk about it, it's going to be a fight, or one of you is going to be let down. And so, open communication, but what it looks like is not talking at them. So, here's an example. I had a dad and a daughter actually on a call. Dad, very concerned his daughter wanted to be a botanist. That's somebody who just plants plants. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I said to the daughter, "That is so cool. I kill every plant that I've ever bought."
Mm-hmm.
I go, "What about planting do you really like?" And she goes, "No, no, I don't like planting." I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. I thought you wanted to be a botanist." She goes, "Oh, yeah, I just want to save the environment. I don't even like dirt." So the dad was thinking that he didn't want to pay for a college degree that she was planting plants, but she's thinking, "I want to save the environment by making sure there's plants that are growing and giving oxygen and making our environment great." So there was this huge disconnect. And as soon as the dad heard me say, "So really, you want to be an environmentalist?" And she's like, "That's exactly what I want to do." And he was like, "Oh my gosh." So a lot of times it's as simple as listening without judgment.
That just flashed me back because, like, I've had those problems before, and I've had that with my mom. And like when I was in high school, actually in middle school, I would tell my mom, I'll be like, "Hey, you know what I want to be? I want to be a auto mechanic. I want to fix cars. I want to be able to learn the ins and outs of working on a car and stuff like that." She looked at me and she said, "You can't be an auto mechanic because you're not good at math."
Oh,
And that just blew me away. So I was like, you know what? I was still like in my teens, early teens or whatever, mid teens. And I'm like, okay, so what's next? You know, what am I going to do now? I'm not good at math. Should I improve or should I just say, forget it and let's just move on to something else that I could do. That's why I was like, when I graduated high school, I was just gonna go to college and do general studies. I didn't know what I wanted to be. The auto mechanic was the answer, and here we are. And so it's like I'm not an auto mechanic. I am actually trying to do this podcast. I want to become a psychologist now. So it's like, got to do something, right? Just got to do something. So that, whew, yeah, that brought me back to that when you had that conversation with a family. It was like, oh man, like I can relate to that. So that makes perfect sense. Whew, 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 whew. Man, man. Okay, let me redeem myself. That brought it back. All right. So, how does college pressure affect students mentally, so to speak?
So important to realize it doesn't affect every student the same, right? And so it's really important to know your child. If you have multiple, I'm guessing they're all very different, like mine are. My firstborn, he keeps it all deep inside. You never know if he's freaking out, stressing out. He really pushes it down and just handles it. My second, she wears it so everybody can see it. She'll tell you how she's feeling even if you don't want to know. So she's a verbalizer. My third, he's my stepson. He was the one, life's good. Everything's good. Don't worry about me. Life is good. And my fourth, she was just cranky all the time. Just always cranky. And so how did they each handle it? Well, up until my son's second semester of his junior year, he never ever complained. Always got straight A's, did what he needed to do, was a scholar athlete, worked really hard, probably harder on himself than I was. And so he didn't need any extra pressure. And so I just helped him to navigate the things that felt heavy. Where my second, she needed a lot of hugs and a lot of, you've got this girl, and a lot of affirmations. We spent a lot of time doing really positive thinking to get through some of the hard things. So I want parents to realize that it is unique to each child. And for some of my students, they drag me along. Like I cannot keep up with them. What's next, Shellie? What's next? Okay, I got that done. What's next? What's next? And they are pushing and pushing and pushing, and they want this more than anything. And then there's others that are just procrastinators. They're just chill, like it's all gonna work out. Don't worry. And they don't have any pressure at all. And so some is self-induced, some is they don't even worry about it. So the bottom line is understand the cues from your child. If they're not eating well, if they're not sleeping well, if they're always on edge, if they're easily set off, those are how you know that there's something that is not sitting right with them. So it's really watch and listen, and then be careful not to judge, but come at it from a very loving place, like how can I support you?
Sure, that's that's pretty logical. Like I like to verbalize it. Like you'll know what's going on. Very outspoken. They're very, they'll let you know. Like you said, I like those type of people because them ones like your son likes to keep it in and he just handles it. That's me in him, like 100%. Like that's why I do this podcast. I have to let it out now. I have to actually speak on how I feel about different things now. So
Mm-hmm.
I learned the difference, like holding it in and then just actually being a daughter and just letting things out. So I know like being silent is one thing, but it's like, you know what? My voice could serve a purpose. So it's like, let's speak on it. So that, yeah, I love it. I love it. So what are you seeing with, stress, anxiety, and expectations from anybody, whether it's students or
What
adults?
I'm seeing is social media has become quite a problem in this area.
Right.
Everybody sees everybody's best day, not their worst day, not the day that their face didn't look pretty, not the day the hair was a disaster, not the big tears. And so what's happening is these teenagers are feeling insignificant, not as good as everybody else. And that's causing them a lot of heartache and pressure. And it's not even real because there's filters, there's AI, there's so many
So
fake things about all of it. And so I spend time with students helping them get clear on stay in their own lane. Do not worry about this friend over here or this social media platform over there. If they're going to scroll, look at travel, look at sports, look at something that's going to bring them fulfillment. Don't get caught up in the drama of what's going on, and be mindful that most of it is not real. And so the other part is parents who are causing their students this massive anxiety by putting unreal expectations and pressures on their children. You know, that it's been that way through the end of time. That part has not changed.
no,
What
no.
has changed is how much more visible it is. An example, back in my day, my kids call it the cavewoman days, we would pass notes in class. We'd
Yeah,
write them on a paper, we'd fold
yes.
them up, and we'd just pass them, right?
Mhm.
And you're like, I hope that teacher doesn't get a hold of that note because that could be really embarrassing, but that's the
Yes,
worst that it got,
yes.
right?
Mhm.
But here's the thing, if your child is doing a thing at lunch and somebody takes a video or a photo and they post it for all to see, it's exposed.
Can't
And
take it
it's
back.
you can't take it back. I will tell you a very brief story.
Sure.
I have a family member who thought Snapchat actually disappeared. And that app where you take the picture and then after a certain time it's gone. What they didn't realize is that you can screenshot a Snapchat. So one time he was out with his buddies and they were drinking and doing stupid stuff. Friend took a Snapchat, whom I was in the circle of the Snapchat.
Yeah.
I saw it, I screenshot it, sent it to their parent. Oh boy. So kids they're under a microscope. No longer are the days where you could play stupid, silly, pass the note. It doesn't work like that anymore. And so that is causing a lot of problems.
I've never heard of that. That's I don't even have Snapchat, and it's like
I don't anymore either. It's dangerous.
that's dangerous. I'm really I don't have Snapchat. I'm really on TikTok. I'm only like really on X and Instagram for like social media purposes. But good lord, I didn't know went that deep. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. They need
Hmm.
to like if that was me in that situation, I'd just be like, okay, look, it's time for me to watch some HGTV. Like I'll soothe off of that anytime. Like we ain't finna ready to go deep into this. You ain't finna put me under a microscope. Mm-mm. Nope, nope, nope. So yeah, I wow, wow. So passion with purpose. I gotta ask, how important is it for students to understand who they're choosing the path before they choose the path, so to speak?
So, passion with purpose is something that I've been implementing for since College Ready got started. It's not just for college. I like families to think about it this way. When your child finds their passion and they have a purpose, they care about something deeply, matching the two makes them have impact. When you have impact, when you're changing somebody's life, making it better, you then learn you're a leader. Leadership produces opportunity, opportunity produces income. So you think that you're just doing it for whatever reason, but really there's so much more behind it. An example would be a student who is super passionate about fashion. You're like, how in the world am I going to use that for anything? You know them, parents, the one who always talks about the latest and greatest trends in fashion. Well, it happened to be that my second born, she was a passion for fashion. And when I brought my son home from, I took him to Kenya, Africa, and we served in the slums of Mathare when he was a junior in high school. And she saw these pictures of these little girls in torn up shirts, no shoes, no undergarments, just pure
Oh wow.
poverty.
Yeah.
It took her to tears, literally.
Yeah.
And I said, "Why are you crying?" She goes, "They'll never have what I have, my self-confidence. They won't have the opportunities because they don't have clothes to be able to interview." Like, it really got deep for her. I had no idea how fashion made her feel. And I said, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" And that's how the passion project got started for her. She ended up teaching herself how to sew. She ended up going and asking friends, relatives, neighbors for gently used pillowcases. She turned them into pretty little dresses with ribbon. She then met with Doctors Without Borders, and they delivered them all over the world. So these little girls would have their very own pretty little dress. That's impact. That's leadership. That is what colleges are looking for. And it taught her how to lead others to be the change she wants to see in the world.
That humbled her.
Oh, for sure.
Period. That is awesome. That she actually took the passion for that.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. Wow. So, what happens when students go to college, without direction, so to speak?
If they go to college without what? Without passion?
Direction.
Oh,
Direction. I'm
direction.
sorry.
Okay, so if they don't have direction, one, not every college has every major. Gone are the days that you could go undeclared, undecided. They don't have that anymore.
Absolutely.
So now you're being forced to pick a major. Well, what happens if they go to a school with this major, they get accepted, they take the class like I did, business finance, and realize, oh, no, this is not good. And they are like, I need to transfer. I'm sorry, I need to change majors. But they don't have the major that they want to transfer to. So now they're transferring universities. Add an extra $100,000 to the number,
Oh man,
because not every class transfers to every other college.
that's absolutely right.
So the cost is there. Socially, they just made a whole bunch of friends at this new school, and now they're saying goodbye to them. So now socially, they're sad. And then academically, they have to go through the application process all over again.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing is good about it.
No, it isn't. None. None. No. I've just got a few more questions for you. We're gonna get on out of here. Get you go about your day. I know it's like, it's been a long day for me. So a few more questions and then we're getting out of here. It's gonna be very brief. What are three things parents can start doing right now? And one mistake family needs to avoid like immediately.
So, the three things that you want to do right now is to start having time with your child. I don't
Yes.
care if it's 15 minutes of no cell phone, no distraction, quality time, that you are on their level, sharing a yogurt or a cookie, doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
and just checking in. That's got to be number one, because if you lose communication, this whole process is going to be way harder. Number two is to help them to figure out who they are, what matters, their gifts and their talents, right? You know, the kids who love Legos, guess what? They're good at, they have a left brain. They like
Yeah.
structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one who likes to paint, they've got the right brain. Nurture and help them to see that that's a gift they've been given. And number three is teach them the love of education and why it's important to them. And then your secondary question was, what
The
was it?
mistake, the one mistake,
Oh, one mistake
yeah, one
is
mistake that they need to avoid immediately.
parents think you can't afford to send your kids to college. That is a huge, 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 that's just a lie. There are 10 colleges that are tuition free. All your child has to do is get accepted and they have to work. So it's work, for learn. So has nothing to do with your money. The second piece of that is if you are need based and you make under $200,000 a year and your child can get into a top tier school, that top tier school will pay 100%. It's called need blind. They will absolutely just take care of them. So you have two choices. You can help your child be very successful and have them get in on their merit and get that kind of money, or you help them to find the other option, which are the schools that are tuition for work. So that is the one thing I hear time and time again. And it's just lack of knowledge on the parents' perspective and the students' perspective. They have no idea how to do this or how to navigate it.
Oh man, yeah, you're right. That's serious too. So if a parent listening feels overwhelmed, so to speak, about the child's future, what would you tell
So I'd break it down first into what is overwhelming the parent. That's important because they're the one who has to hold it all together. I know what's overwhelming the student. They're trying to learn. They're trying
them?
to do everything they can to make themselves a better person. But if a parent is overwhelmed, that means they're probably lacking knowledge because when we don't have knowledge, we go into fear. So fear is overwhelm. I don't know what to do. I don't know when to do it. I don't know how. I don't know how much. All of that causes the anxiety. So you have two choices. You can either go and find the information, and now fear is gone, and you can face it and be like, okay, we have this or that. Those are our choices, right? Or you pay somebody to provide help, which means you go to work and do your job that you're really good at, and you pay somebody like a CPA, a realtor, a college consultant, whatever that looks like, to help you get out of overwhelm. Those are your two choices. You either learn it yourself, like I did, or you pay somebody else, like people pay me.
Yeah, yeah. Self learning. I feel like it's always the way to go. But hey, a lot of people have different options, like you said. So that's true. So one last question. I always ask this. I've been asking this with all the guests that came on my podcast. What would you say to someone right now, rather if it's a parent that's struggling with a child or a child themselves, a student or whatever? What would you tell them if they're, in a sense, struggling, trying to figure it out when it comes to anything? What would you tell
So, depending on what they're struggling with,
them?
if it's a sport, they just need more time and they need more coaching. If it's academia, they may have a learning disorder that needs to be recognized, or they may have a lack of desire, which means they haven't found their why they're doing it yet. So they need to find their why. And if you believe that they are trying their hardest, I had one who tried her hardest and would take a test and it didn't come back with great results. We learned she needed glasses. Had no idea. She never told us she needed glasses. And so we felt like terrible parents because we never thought to have her eyes checked,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
that's
And
true.
so again, there's usually a reason why. And instead of wondering, start to figure out what can we do to narrow it down to see why this is happening.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Shelly, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on here, having this conversation with me. Like, I've learned some things when you're actually speaking about, college ready. Love it. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Darrell. It's been a pure joy, and I hope I've given your
Always.
listeners massive value.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you will. It's gonna be something. Like I love this. I appreciate your time.